Hey guys, I'm here today with the UAFX Astra modulation machine. This isn't a review, and just as a full disclaimer, I bought this with my own money, so my views are my own. So I'm just going to go over some things I really like about it. Like I said, it's not a review. I really like chorus and flanging, and especially classic chorus and flanging, and this kind of just hits the mark for me, especially since it does a perfect CE1 emulation, at least from what I can hear since I've never owned a CE1. But it really feels like how I feel that a CE1 should sound from what I've heard on countless albums and just different demos of a real CE1. The big benefit you do get over the Astra that you do over a real CE1 is it's modern, so it's not just going to randomly die and have a unobtainable Bucket Brigade device chip, for instance, to repair it. But the other option is that it gives you full stereo, and it's offset. The LFO is offset on the stereo mode instead of the actual signal, so you shouldn't get phase cancellation. And as you heard in the opening, I think it sounds wonderful. So you should be listening to this in a stereo setup, preferably with really high performance headphones if you have that, or at least studio monitors if you can, and then you can really hear the full effect. So I'm not going to go over all of the settings on this, especially not the tremolo, because I'm not a tremolo fan. I can't tell you what a good tremolo sounds like. So yeah, we'll go over the chorus, we'll go over the flanger doubler, and we'll go over the phaser since I love those kind of effects. So the CE1 is extremely simple in terms of its chorus settings. You basically just have an intensity control, and in this case you do have some kind of, it's not really a mix, it's more of a volume control. So we'll hear that really quick. I'm using a Opsix here, and I'm using a sine wave with a 12-bit sine wave with feedback to give it almost a sawtooth. So that's it dry. Pretty good emulation of what a analog synth kind of sounds like, but yeah, from a fully digital FM synth. So here is just what I had in the opening kind of. And we're using the true stereo mode that this has. If you turn it into like classic mode, on the left channel you'll hear the dry, and on the right channel, I believe that's how it's set up, you'll hear the wet signal. And there's the stereo mode, which is the mode that I absolutely adore this for. So yeah, you only have, here's like the volume. And it's not really a mix control, and then here's the intensity. So no real depth or anything in that, and it kind of designates that because if you see here, if I turn something that doesn't have a control map to it, you see the LED blink there for your mode you're in. So yeah, really simple. You have a vibrato as well. The vibrato has some more settings, so I can go over those really quick. So for vibrato, we switch over to B. We're still in stereo here. And I think the CE1 vibrato sounds really cool. But you have rate now. And you have the amount. So kind of a depth control, I guess. And then you have the output level again. And then you have the classic versus a true stereo mode. So yeah, really cool, really lovely sounding. I mean, I wish I had a real CE1, but I think this does it for me. I don't have to go find a classic CE1 anymore, which costs quite a bit more than this pedal. I mean, this pedal isn't cheap, but it's cheaper than a CE1, so. All right, so one of the other cool things the Astra does is it emulates the rack mount MXR 126 flanger doubler. These are extremely rare, and I don't really want to own the real unit because I don't have room for rack mount units, and this has full stereo, which is the next best thing with some enhancements. It sounds really good, at least from what I've heard in videos, comparing it, not comparing the actual units, but like listening to it at 126, this is pretty authentic in my opinion. So unlike the CE1 chorus, we have quite a bit of functionality to that. I switched it over to the flanger mode. Again, So yeah, we have regen up here, which is feedback. Gives you that really hollow sound. Mode now controls in inverted or just standard phase. The inverted phase gives you a much hollower sound. You have the manual control, which you have on a lot of flangers, sorry. And then here you have the width of the sweep. So if I turn it up, this will do nothing. Because the LFO is now sweeping the entire range. Yeah, but I think that sounds cool. If you turn off the speed, like here, now it's kind of like you have a park to wah pedal. Let's go ahead and actually turn up some sweep, and we'll turn this down here. If we go really slow, we get some whale noises, so. That's inverted, of course. Now there's the normal. Yeah, I think that sounds awesome. That's kind of what I expect a flanger to sound like, and I just don't get any other flanger to sound exactly like that. The M117R I had a while back ago got close, but that's not what I was looking for. I wanted one of these studio rack mount style analog flangers, and I think it nails it. So then we have a doubler mode, and it's not like the taped style doubling. It's a bucket brigade style doubling, and it makes a really good chorus. So I'm looking at my cheat sheet here that I have from UAFX, so let's see. We're in the doubler mode, so we switch over to doubler, and the controls are the same pretty much. So yeah, let's keep it here, and we can turn down the feedback, and it makes a really amazing sounding chorus, almost as nice as the CE1 this does. So it can get crazy though, listen to that. Right about that though. That is an amazing sounding chorus. It almost reminds me of one of my favorite choruses, which is the DC2. I still own my DC2W. But yeah, it has that going for it, but with more speed control, obviously. All right, so yeah, that's basically my two favorite things out of it. Then the other thing that I absolutely love is the Phase 90 emulation. It's not going to replace my Zelza. My Zelza has become my favorite phaser pedal. But I did end up selling all my analog phasers, so if I needed the Phase 90, sorry, I almost called it the M90. But yeah, the Phase 90 emulation, if I needed something like that, an analog style phaser that's really authentic, this does it. But again, it does it with the idea of stereo. So let's look at that. It's a downloadable extension you get for just buying one of these. So let's see, that is up here. So here's the phaser. You have script and block. So I think the script, which is the lower one, doesn't have feedback. The block lettering on the pedal designates a newer one, which does have feedback. So yeah. So you don't have very many controls because the Phase 90 basically just has bypass and speed. So yeah, let's dry. And it also emulates the overdriven nature of a Phase 90. Which, I mean, in a lot of cases, I don't need, but there's a handful of cases I want that. So we have that, and that is your standard, like, mono mode. And then you have dual mode, which is, again, a lovely stereo mode. And Now shade becomes your input drive. So you can really overdrive that and get some distortion. And here, let's listen to the difference between block and not. Let's go to slow. Okay, so that's block. Yeah, so it's a little deeper because you have some feedback. Either way, that's a lovely sounding phaser, especially for your classic phasing sound if you need a phase 90 and you don't need something modern like the Zelza. My only complaint about the Zelza when I made that video was it was just too clean, and this really takes care of that. I should also mention that in the chorus mode, it does also emulate the, the preamp that's famous in the CE1. So yeah, lovely, lovely pedal. I like it. I haven't done anything on it. I've had it for almost 2 months now. I've been using it kind of off camera to work on some music. It is definitely now my go-to chorus. I still have the CE2W. I still have the DC2W. I'll use those for very specific tasks, but man, the CE1 emulation in this is great, and that flanger doubler is really what sold me on this, besides the CE1, of course, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching my video on this, my overview of what I really like about it. I have some criticism, especially for the cost point. It's a $400 pedal, and it doesn't have MIDI, nor does it have an expression input, and I don't think they're going to bother putting either of those things in. It does sound fantastic. There's very few things out there besides the real thing that sound that good. Some VST plugins also made by Universal Audio, but yeah, you get it in a pedal form, and in the future you could sell it if you wanted to. But again, no MIDI and no expression input is kind of terrible for a $400 pedal. It's my major criticism. Like I said, it sounds fantastic, as you could hear from my video. Again, thanks for watching.